All right, everyone, it's 5:01. It looks like we have quorum, so I'll go ahead and call the July meeting of the Riverfront Improvement Commission meeting to order. First up on the agenda, we have approval of the June minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review, or do I have a motion to approve the June minutes?
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion on June minutes? All those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? So I'll go ahead and approve those minutes. Up next, old business with Main Street.
Yeah, so I had an opportunity to talk with Clay about a week and a half ago. And while he was intending to come to today's meeting to provide additional information, in addition to what he presented last time, he said he would actually have a little bit more information if he could push it out a couple of weeks. So I believe it was yesterday I sent out a calendar invite to everyone for Thursday, August 15th. That will be a joint meeting with the Parks Advisory Board to go through additional details on Main Street Landing. So that meeting is not required by any means, but if you can be there, I think it'll be informative. It will be at the new Station 3, which is just off of Brady Street, for anybody that's not been there yet. So there will be staff there to greet you, direct you to the community room, and then Clay will take things from there. So I will not be at that meeting. I am actually going to be on my very belated honeymoon at that point. So I will not be there, but we are coordinating everything internally to make sure that there are minutes or video for anybody that's not able to attend.
So if you wanna do a motion, just send a letter or something,
Yes.
we'll deal with that.
Yeah, that
Okay,
sounds good.
Thanks, Cindy. Up next, the Han easement agreement.
Yes, so we finally have a sketch of what that's going to look like. I will go ahead and send it out via email for your review. And then this is probably a good moment for me to segue. So this is Bruce Berger, for those of you who don't know him. He is our Director of Community Engagement. Economic development, this right here. Nice long title, just like mine. So Bruce, for the time being, is going to be stepping in as our RIC liaison, as Jim has been shifted over to some other duties with our staff continuing to transition. So thank you, Bruce, for being here. He is really kind of getting thrown in crash course. He and I haven't had a lot of time to review a bunch of this stuff. So one of the things hopefully I'll be touching base with him on in the next week or so is the Han easement agreement. We have a draft of that. We just kind of want to refine a little bit of the language and also look to add kind of a timeline to that so that it's not for the foreseeable future, but rather it has like a start and an end date in case we need to refine things moving forward. So that was something that was recommended by Public Works, is that we maybe tie in the term to Marine Specialties lease, so that as their lease comes up for renewal, this agreement would also come up for renewal, since that seems to be the time that people will let us know if there's anything going on that we should be aware of. So we should have hopefully an update or a final draft by our next meeting.
Excellent, thank you. All right, up next, new business with upcoming lease renewals.
Yeah, so we have 2 leases up for renewal. I believe I mentioned this in my update last week. Both of these leases will be coming up at the end of August. The first one is Op Leadership. They are located in Union Station, 2nd floor. He has been with us for a couple years now. He will be wrapping up a 1-year lease. That lease did have a 5% increase on it. And then just kind of for you numbers-minded people, he is currently paying $14.59 per square foot, which is currently, of our Union Station Freight House tenants, that is our highest paying tenant per square foot. I have not reached out to him yet to ask if he is interested in another lease. I believe he is. He's indicated prior that he would be, with both him and then EME Designs. I was just kind of waiting to talk with you so that when I go to him, I can give him a little bit more detail on what a renewal might look like. EME Designs has been in a 3-year lease with us. They take up kind of a large portion of real estate on the 2nd floor of Union Station. Their area has several rooms. They've got private entrance, private restrooms, things of that nature. Their lease was built in with a $3,600 escalation per year. So they had that escalation from year 1 to 2, and then again from year 2 to year 3. If you remember, they are also the business that is now renting the really small space on the second floor of Union Station. We put together a 2-month lease for them that started July 1st. So in talking to them about that lease, they had indicated they would be interested, and we'd be looking to do a combined lease for both spaces. So with all of that being said, I believe Courtney and I had sent this out a couple months ago, but I know we have some new faces, so I thought I would send this around again. I can also certainly put this in an email too, but this is just a little bit of an analysis on who we currently have in Union Station and the Freight House. And then what they're paying per square foot. I know that's been something that's kind of come up time and time again. Are we sitting at market rate? Are we not? Should we be charging more? And so that was something I wanted to bring up to all of you. We may not have an answer on what we want long-term today, but if I could, at the minimum, get some guidance with EME and OTT and kind of what we're thinking there, that would be helpful, so I can go to them and start to discuss these things. So if anybody has questions, please let me know.
Now, are either the buildings or both the buildings triple net? I mean, I know they do their property taxes out separately, but or is there like a differentiation on the tax determination across the two buildings, or?
That I truthfully don't have an answer on. Do you have any?
I guess my recollection is that property taxes and utilities, I think, are separate. I don't know that we do any other common space type thing or that with them, but so that's
So there's no like CAM?
not officially.
Okay.
We kind of do them separately.
Okay.
I think. And by the way, I apologize to some of you. I remember doing this too, and unfortunately, had me sitting in your meetings probably before. A couple of new folks I haven't met before, so we can talk after too if you have any questions too on that. But so I have a little bit of familiarity with it. And Steve used to work in my department, so I have some. But that's my recollection. I don't think we do an official triple net with it. I think we just
Designation. Can we get just because we have had some newer tenants and other ones that came in later, or that have, I know that, we had tried to work in kind of like an escalator to make sure we're kind of approaching market rate. Do we have, or can we look at previously, like who did have those kind of percentage increases versus who did not?
Yes, absolutely.
I think the last 2 years in renewal since
And we
Steve
can,
left,
and we
we've
only
been
do things
doing
for
5%. Well, they's different. Some are 3-year leases, some are 2 years. But the whole lease has been like a 5%. So I know that the Front Street got an increase and Etanel's got an increase. I don't know. In Union Station, I don't know.
Farmers Market received an increase in February. I do know that as well.
Are these 3-year leases for the and EMA?
I've not reached out yet. I
No,
know
I mean the ones we have.
the
in
ones we
place.
currently have, EME is currently in a 3-year lease.
Yeah.
She basically has said like she wants to be there as long as we will have her. I'm assuming she will want a 3-year lease as well. I will certainly double check on that. As for OTT, he signed a 1-year. But he may be open to a 3-year.
We've got quite a variety.
We sure
Price per
do.
square footage.
We sure do.
Is that because we think some are more prime than others, or why is
We've
there such a?
subsidized 2 of them, Visit Quad Cities and Farmers Market. We have subsidized them, so I don't, they're not in the same category as the other tenants, they just haven't been. Not saying that they should be, but they haven't been, and so you really have to take them out. I think the other ones we've tried, depending on their space, what it should be. But I know that we've had some increases too.
The Blue Society is a nonprofit. I know previously, I believe they were given a much lower rate because they're a nonprofit. I would have to go back and pull numbers on what exactly that looks like. If I'm remembering correctly, I believe we did give them an increase for this current lease. And then in mentioning Visit Quad Cities, they actually, their lease is up June 30th of 25. However, it's written into their lease that starting July 1st of 24, they have 90 days to essentially negotiate a renewal with us. Dave Harrell has reached out via email and said they would definitely like to maintain their space and stay there and would be open to discussing that further. So not something we need to decide upon today, but something I did just want to mention to the group while we were here.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see a breakout of the taxes. I wouldn't really count utilities in that because that would normally be separately, that's not really considered in rent.
They're gonna be those two buildings will be taxed differently though, for value. And what I'm gonna say, it's probably on a profit generation assessment, so you would probably see a higher tax for the freight house than you're gonna see in Union Station.
But I think it's kind of important, yeah, looking at the, holistic kind of cost per square foot.
Oh, you wanna add that in and see what that is,
Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah.
makes sense.
Because I'm sure that probably would be approaching market rate for almost all of these.
Yeah.
If that is the
I
consideration.
think our whole thing is if they've had it coming off a 3-year lease, should there be an increase, given that rents have come up? If they're only coming off a 1-year lease, maybe not. Right?
Yeah, well, and it also depends what kind of escalations they've had in their 3-year lease.
Right,
And so,
yeah. So those need to be really looked at. I'm not sure we're gonna give you a lot of input without like you doing, or having someone help you with that analysis.
Yeah. One other thing I did want to mention, and this was something Jim and I had done together about a month ago, is in looking at EME. We've got the two spaces that are currently two different rental rates, and so we had discussed potentially doing a weighted average of the two. If we did that, that would put it at $8.65 per square foot for kind of an all-encompassing lease. But we could certainly do an escalator on that as well, or kind of whatever the commission finds most appropriate there.
Is the downstairs space of the diner square footage included in their square footage on here?
I
No,
don't believe
no.
so.
Okay, so they're not really renting that themselves?
Correct.
We took that out because they can't really,
Yeah, they don't get anything out of it.
they get an elevator entrance.
Yeah.
Upstairs is 45 square feet? That's big.
I might mention
Sure.
too, a small thing, this goes back over a year and a half, I think ago too, but it's expensive and takes time, but we did talk a little bit about whether it'd be worth it at some point to have a real estate professional person kind of take a look at what are the amenities and the spaces and all that, and that, I don't pretend to know that there's a lot of complexity with that, and like you said, sometimes there's a reason for valuing things a little bit differently too, so we haven't taken any steps to do that yet.
Well, it was my understanding that the city wanted to look at things from like a citywide, not specifically have us engage our own with that, so has that
I don't think it's moved
preference
forward
changed?
from my But I would almost say it might be worth waiting until, and not have this group do this separately,
Okay.
especially if we're gonna do it citywide with other properties.
Well, you have
But
two tenants
they
that
get
are
renewed.
not gonna have a lease in a month.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
So we should be at tenants 3 months before the lease, 90 days before it comes due. I think that you should really look at these two and kind of make a decision. I mean, I can see, a weighted average, I'm not sure is helpful, but if they just picked up a space that's that small, that's that high, you shouldn't be probably charging the whole thing for that,
Right.
so.
Right.
I'm kind of comfortable with Bruce, you and Stephanie, and maybe, coming to kind of looking and saying this is what you think. Especially if they're going for a 1-year lease. I mean, Yeah, I would rather have them lease than we not get back to them than go, oh, I'm gone.
Right.
You know, or I'll pay, you know, I'll just go month to month, and that might not be good for us either.
Shorter term, in light of maybe getting a little bit more systemic review of this too, might be a good way to go too.
But that conversation should be had with EME, because I don't want them also to think, well,
Right,
and someone offer them a nice space,
right.
so.
Okay, Bruce and I will plan to meet. It's my hope that I can reach out to both tenants by the end of this week, just to get the conversation started. Both of them are very good communicators, so I anticipate we'll be able to get the ball rolling on that quickly, and I will keep you posted in my weekly update.
All right, up next, the Freight House vacant space.
Yeah. I'm doing a lot of talking today.
I know. Sounds good.
So as you all know, we have that vacant space in the Freight House, which is included in, the chart that I gave out. 2,000 square feet. It most recently housed, Miracle at the Freight House last holiday season, which was a holiday pop-up bar. To my knowledge, they did very well. They were very happy with the space. They've kind of curated their whole, I guess, image and idea based off of the space. For those of you not familiar, Miracle is actually a chain. And I believe there's about 50 Miracle pop-up bars throughout the country, but this one is specifically curated to the Freight House. All that to say, they sent an email right when the flood was starting to say, hey, we'd really love to come back. And I let them know, you know, obviously we were dealing with a flood. I would get back to them after I'd had the chance to meet with you all. They are interested in kind of the same thing that they did last year, where they would come in October, use October to really get the space set up the way they need to. If you've not been in there, they do extensive holiday decorating. And then they would be open, I believe, for the majority of November, all of December, and then would be out in January. So I know previously we had also discussed the farmer's market as an option. I've not received anything additional from them. So I will open it up to you all to discuss.
I think that sounds like a really good idea, given that we maybe are gonna be a little bit slow on this whole real estate thing, waiting for the city to sort of do that more holistic approach. This is certainly a good interim option. I think people also love it as an amenity. I mean, I have certainly heard a lot of great things. People,
Good feedback.
yeah, so.
Yeah, it's busy.
It's busy.
You have to have a reservation
Yeah.
these days, you can't go.
Well, the farmer's market's not gonna bring in a whole bunch of income, it looks like, based on what we charge them now.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, they're virtually the lowest ones, along with the Visit Quad Cities, as far as price per square foot is concerned. But we don't have any other options, do we? Other than this temporary place that we,
At this time, no. We have had probably, I would say, 3 or 4 businesses kind of throughout the last year that have said, like, you know, when you guys are ready to talk, like, a long lease term, you know, please reach out. I know we had talked about entertaining the farmer's market first, since they're there, already, and, you know, adjacent to the space, but again, that's, you know, up to the commission.
How much do we make people aware of vacant spaces when they come available?
So far with this one, we have not. We were kind of waiting again to hopefully have someone come in, and share with us, you know, are we charging the right amount of rent? You know, would it make more sense to gut that space? Because it is currently set up with a kitchen and things of that nature. Would it make more sense to gut the space and try to rent it out that way? That Courtney and I had kind of discussed that process prior to Miracle last year, and then nothing has come of it since.
I think in the last-
2 years, haven't they?
Yes.
They had operated out of the diner for, I believe, a year, and then have been in the,
That sounds
that current space, I believe, twice, 2 years now.
Yeah.
We've, luckily, I think over the last 5 years, not had to ask for somebody. We've had people come to us. We've not ever had to do the other thing. and with the space, probably would have had lots of, some inquiries. But, there is the whole thing of not using the space. Remember, we have parapet wall and all these other issues. So, we're kind of getting to the point that I think a temporary tenant that the community likes is a good idea.
Yeah.
One for the holidays.
Well, they activate that
So-
space really nicely.
Yeah, so, but while they're between now and January, why don't we advertise the space and see what the interest is? And instead of people coming to us, we put it out there, it could increase the value of,
Yeah.
if you have, instead of 2 or 3 people that have come to you, if you also you have 20 different businesses that are interested in it, then the price goes up.
All right, I will go ahead then. I will reach back out to Miracle to Freight House and start talking lease terms with them. My goal will be to have a draft by our next meeting for review. Because they would not be looking to take the space until probably mid-October, so.
Okay.
If anybody has any other thoughts, let me know, but otherwise I'll reach out and start getting the ball rolling there.
All right, up next, future business. Do we have future business?
A couple things that I think we talked about pre-flood, and I don't think they've gone, rightfully so, anywhere since then. Well, one probably wasn't flood related, it's probably more attorney availability related, and that's the leases at, the marina, where the yacht club tacked on mandatory memberships to the club in order to have your boat in the city's marina. And legal was gonna look at it, but then we lost some attorneys, and I can understand we're probably not paying an outside attorney to do that for us. And I don't know where the city is with getting attorneys, but, those invoices will come back out right after the first of the year and due in February, so I think we all discussed that it needs to be looked at, because the idea of requiring, the 2 entities, the marina and the yacht club, are separate entities, so the idea that they're requiring slip holders in the city's marina that they manage to automatically force them to be members of the private club is a little sketchy, in my view. And I'm there and I'm a member, but there are a lot of people that aren't happy with it. And again, those 2 entities they've been sacred as separate financial entities and everything, and this year they got combined.
So we have a long-term lease for the marina.
Oh, yeah. The management agreement.
Yes. Yes,
So
I'll have to look at
that
that.
probably look at it and see what it,
So that was a new development, that there's a requirement for them to be a part of the club.
Yeah, what would have been spring of, somewhere in 2023,
Yes.
one of the board members sent something to the city. The city had legal looked at it. They're like, "Oh, if that's your practice, that's your practice." But, and it's I guess one thing to say, whether or not they're, the increase in cost, or they laid it out like, they would get the benefits, right? And they never said membership, they said benefits. But then, in there, they discussed the fact that you would have voting rights to vote for board members and things like that. Well, you don't get those unless you're a member. And, or I had been a member and then I wasn't a member again, this year, the first time I'm down there, like, here's your new membership card. So it is a mandatory membership. So that was one. And the other one, we talked about that building at Marine Specialties that's not being used, right? And that you had, utilities looked at, and then you're gonna come back and have someone look at it structurally, which understandably, that probably got put on the back burner.
It
So-
sure did, but I will check in on that piece.
Okay. That's all I have.
Any other future business? Otherwise, we'll just go back to Stephanie. Management update.
As far as management update for events, we have a lot coming up over the next, I would say, 6 weeks or so. We are down to 3 more Big 9 concerts. They've been going incredibly well. Very well attended. We've been getting more and more questions about like, is this gonna become a regular thing? We, for the last couple have had mini versions of our posters. Those have been just going like hotcakes. People just are really excited. So I've been really, really pleased with how things are going. Our last concert was at the Last Picture House on the roof, and apparently there was a line to get in because the
Yeah.
roof hit capacity.
And they couldn't get in, they
So-
were not happy.
Yes,
From a couple
yes.
people. Why couldn't they have it someplace everyone could go?
We were expecting and hoping for a really great turnout, but that surpassed our expectations. So definitely a good thing to wait for this next year. Fortunately, space will not be an issue for the last three. We've got a concert coming up on the Freight House stage on August 10th. That band is Germ Theory. And then August 31st is our Credit Island concert. We're still working through some of the logistics, but Parks has assured me the island will be ready to go. So I've been working really closely with Common Core on that one. They are piggybacking and doing a Common Core fundraiser, a community carnival to kind of kick off the evening, I guess. And then we will have 3 acts on our main stage that night. QC Rock Academy, Beaker Brothers Band, and Einstein's Sister. So that should be a really fun, exciting night. We're looking forward to that. And then the final concert will be in conjunction with the new Red, White, and Boom date. So on September 7th, and that is Identity Crisis. We had our first Red, White, and Boom 2.0 meeting today. So we were able to nail down our time frame and all of that. So I'll be getting in touch with Identity Crisis to confirm that. But there's still game for that concert.
So that's Leclerc Park.
That one will be Leclerc Park in the band shell.
And
Yes.
what's the Credit Island date again?
August 31st. Yep, so those are the remaining big 9s. On August 11th, we are trying something brand new. We have both cruise ships coming in that day. So we are gonna do a brunch themed concert at Bexel Park, called Toast and Jam. I'm very proud of the name. But it will be, CJ Parker, for those of you that are familiar. He is local, he works for Common Chord, but is just an outstanding, very talented musician. He's been my partner in crime for Big 9, so he is going to be doing kind of a jazz set for 3 hours. Chicken Dips, if you're familiar with that vendor, they're gonna be there doing chicken and waffles, and then chicken hollandaise. And then I also have a coffee truck that will be there that morning as well. So if you're not familiar with Bechtel Park, it is kind of right as you're getting ready to turn onto the Arsenal Bridge across from Last Picture House and DMView Inn. That one is Sunday, August 11th from 10 to 1. I will send all these dates out via email as well. So we're looking forward to that. If it goes well, it's something I'm hoping to do every year. But we'll see how this first one goes. So, and then Red, White, and Boom, as I mentioned, will be on September 7th. It's a Saturday. It is the Iowa State game, but we're doing it in the evening. So watch the game and then come hang out. I've been very pleasantly surprised. The majority of the food vendors are still game for that day. We did lose a couple of our entertainment components, but we're kind of working on some alternatives for that. So, because sunset is earlier, the event will be earlier. We have not publicized this yet, but it is going to start at 5:30 with fireworks at 8:30. So we should be getting that out hopefully in the next couple days to the public. And then 2 days before that, we'll be kicking off our fall concert series. The first one is Central High School's marching band. They're quite large in size, so they will be doing that at Leclerc Park on Thursday, September 5th. And then for the remaining September Thursdays, and then the first 2 in October, we'll be moving everything over to Quinlan Court. There'll be 5 bands performing on those 5 Thursdays. We'll also have food trucks at all of those as well. And are currently coordinating with Front Street to be present to pour at those events too.
We do or do not have a time for the central band.
Central High School Band, 6:30 to 8. Yeah, so all of those concerts, all of the fall ones will be 6:30 to 8 on Thursdays. So Moline does have a Thursday concert series, but theirs ends in August and ours starts in September. So should be good to go there. Just a couple facilities maintenance things. It sounds like flood cleanup is going really, really well. I've been getting regular updates and briefings. I've been working with revenue on rent abatement for any tenants, that had to be closed during that time. I believe with Nestle Purina being the exception, they still have some water in their lots that they're waiting on. Everybody else is back and is doing well. If you've been driving on River Drive at all, there is some construction happening on the north parapet wall at the Freight House. But it sounds like things are going well and moving quickly. So in my next update, I'm hoping I'll have an anticipated end date for that. And then finally, I Love Fufu. Our new tenants have moved in. Their first day was supposed to be July 3rd, but that was the day we shut them down for the flood. So they actually opened back up, not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before. They said business went very, very well. They're really excited to be there. If you have a chance to go down and introduce yourselves, they're the nicest family. It's the parents, and then they've got two little ones who were there when I was there, and the two little ones are just like, so excited. They're excited about the river and the restaurant and everything. So,
This is where the Ethiopia.
this is where Taste of Ethiopia was, yes. And then George and Gannett, who are the owners of Taste of Ethiopia, are staying on for a bit to aid in the transition, just to make sure that things go smoothly. So, they're interested in putting in a walk-in fridge / freezer. So I'm gonna be reaching out to them to just ask if they can put together some drawings and specs for that, just to make sure, that the space can accommodate what they're hoping to do. But their original location is in Iowa City, and they still operate that one, so they're commuting, and said it would be really, really great if they had more space to accommodate their food. So I think, last thing, the docks at Marquette were taken out for the flood. Our dock installer has officially retired now. So his brother-in-law will be stepping in his place. He is out of town until August 12th. So on August 12th, the docks will be reinstalled. So yeah, if anybody is looking for a side career installing docks, we might need it.
$1,000 a shot, isn't it, or something like
I
that?
mean, yeah.
There's companies around that do that, like, Superior Seawall and Docks and is one of them.
Could you send me some information on that?
Yeah.
We've put those out to bid we put them,
Okay.
we put the dock thing out to bid generally. And the guy that does it is like, I don't know, he does it for free. We'll see I don't know what your price is if he holds the price, but if we want to bid it
I was
again,
gonna
we
say
can.
he's very affordable.
Yeah.
Very affordable.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
when he took them out, he's like, oh, there were two pieces that had some damage, so I'm taking care of that part for you guys, and I'll make sure that they're all good to go before they go back in. And yeah, he's really great to work with.
Thanks so much. All right, up next, Park Liaison report, Chris.
Yeah, they, at our last meeting, told us about our upcoming, it kind of coincides with when our meeting would normally be. So that will replace our meeting, but I think this group will still have their meeting, I believe. So we heard about that, and then the majority of our time was spent looking at the park development program, which feels like we just did because we're changing the timing of it. And that's it's kind of the funnest thing that Parks Advisory Board gets to do, which is every year the city allocates $350,000 to Parks Department to be decided what it will be used on by the Parks Advisory Board combined with the City Council. All 20 of us, basically, or 22 of us, I think, get a vote essentially on the ranking of what we want to do. And it's a range of projects that don't quite fit into capital improvement or operating. There's a playground replacement on there, there's some golf stuff, there's some digital signage and pickleball courts, and there's just all sorts of stuff. So we get to kind of rank which ones we think should happen this year, because there's $559,000 of projects and only $350,000 worth of money, so not all of them will happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're changing the timing of that. That's why it feels like we just did it, is because it used to get finalized in like February, or I believe, and now it's shifting to be finalized around budget time, which must have some advantage to city finance folks, I guess. Okay. we're starting that process already again. But there's not a ton of stuff on the riverfront this year. I'm not sure the reasoning for that. But it varies. Some years are big golf years and some years are playgrounds, and so we also had a bit of review of our construction because it's been a busy year with all the ARPA projects. There's just a lot of playgrounds and multi-use courts and the new splash pad down at near Hayes. There's just a lot going on in the parks right now, so it's been a big construction year. And that's about all we had.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Chris. All right, up next, public with business. I see somebody in the back.
Hello?
Or any other, I'll open the floor for any other business. All right, we're very efficient tonight. Look at us go.
Did he hear you?
Do I have any other business? Sir? In the back there? Hi. No? Okay. All right, you never know.
Yeah.
In that case, I will go ahead and adjourn the July meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.